Friends, how are you doing? I'm doing a quick little video here. I've got to go to the fair today. I know, woe is me. Take the family out here and spend about God knows how much money. But I want to talk about what happened today here. So we ended the market, and it's been topsy-turvy all week. We started the week. Rich Tech was running hot. I mean, obviously some swing trading in there. I've talked about that. And then Big Bear's had a pretty good week. It's had a few huge push-ups here. And today, obviously we haven't seen these numbers in quite some time. So today with Big Bear, I'll start off here with Big Bear. Obviously, Big Bear's coming off great news. The Navy partnership, the airline partnership in Nashville, then big investments by firms. There's a lot going on. It's been a hot stock. It's still a hot stock. It's just the only point that is negative really right now. The biggest negative right now with Big Bear is it's not passing quarterlies. And the question is, will they pass this next quarterly? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, they've really got to hammer down some money here. Could it happen? Sure, it's possible. I'm optimistic that this can happen. But today, Big Bear tried to get into this $9 range. Now, we've been here. We've seen this. This is such a, just a rerun of where we've been here with Big Bear trying to push up into this $9, $10 position. And we've been here. This is nothing new. Essentially, I really do think that Big Bear is holding this ground at least until quarterlies. This is just kind of what's going to happen here. And that's totally fine, especially if you're swing trading in and out of this. This obviously, since the summer, this is a lot better position of where we're at. June, July, we had, a lengthy amount of time right there where Big Bear was doing well. I think this run that we're seeing now with all this inundation of these deals, these newer deals, partnerships, this is a lot of a more, I would say, a hotter run right now. What's going on? This is a lot more healthy. This isn't like just like the first one we saw back at the beginning of the year, back in February, where it ran up to $10, then huge sell off. This is a lot better, even compared to the summer one I just talked about. So I think this is probably going to continue into getting closer to earnings, and that is the big kicker. So this is why I've said so many times, and this isn't to be negative. I love Big Bear, but there is a lot of apples sitting on the table here to where you can probably take some and eat them, if you catch what I'm saying here. I don't think that Big Bear is going to get away from you unless they just come out with some ginormous, some ginormous deal, which is possible, very possible, especially if things have been running hot here. But, this is such a change of pace. Literally, if you know, because coming out of the summer here, dealing with Q2 that made a complete mess of things, and, there was people that played that different. A lot of people when, in September, when Big Bear shot down to that $4 range, a lot of people started loading up again. Started buying more. And now look at where we're at. We're back up in this almost $10 range. I think it's very possible, especially going into the rest of this month, that, this is where, a lot of the arguing is going to start. This is where a lot of the comments, the negative and positive comments will start right here. Mark this right in the video. I generally think that the rest of October getting into these quarterlies, if we see these AI stocks, and why I say if, because next week we're going to start to see a lot of earnings. We've had earnings this week, but next week is like, it's on. Next week is when we start. So next week, when quarterlies really start to amp up with retail stocks, AI stocks, gas stocks, everything, it's going to put a lot more of, information out there, what's going on. But with that, if we start to see the market push up and hype up off those those releases, good. Obviously, need quarterlies to be good for everything. when every company possible can release good quarterlies, it's good for the whole market. So Big Bear, I think, could just be this is me thinking this, especially getting into the end of October, where we're getting closer to the quarterly with Big Bear. Palantir is going to be releasing quarterlies, and people are going to be hyped up about Palantir. They like to link it in with Big Bear here. That's fine. I get it. But I think Big Bear could do better than what we're seeing right now. Now, obviously with that, talking about the apples on the table, I think if there's apples on the table here towards the end of the month and you're sitting on a lot, you're holding a lot of apples, take some. Cash out, take some profits. There's nothing wrong with it, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know if Big Bear is going to hit this quarterly. I am really not expecting Big Bear to be heavy passing quarterlies, at least till next year when we can see some bigger deals come out here. I really just don't. I don't. And I don't say that to be like negative for it. Like it's never going to make it. This company's a waste of time. I don't believe that at all. I believe that Big Bear is going to keep getting these government contracts. I believe that Big Bear is definitely going to keep getting these airline deals. This has been one of the most aggressive, I think, looking through the history of the company, this has been the most aggressive year with this company getting deals. And it's not just defense deals. It's also these airline deals, which essentially are, defense security for the airlines, but you know what I mean. So I think there's huge conversation that this is going to continue. Now, obviously, when we talk about, and this is when people are going to talk about the AI bubble. Listen, we don't know when this AI bubble is going to pop. I am very much, admittedly, I will say, like, you need to be careful, 100%. That's why I think when there's profit to take profit, okay? There will be a pop. Things are hot. Things are smoking hot in this market right now and completely overpriced. I mean, look at Big Bear. You're buying into a company right now that's not even hitting freaking quarterlies. Now, obviously, we're hoping they stay in this $30 million range here with quarterlies. We're hoping for at least 38 to getting in this $40 million range here with quarterlies. We're hoping. But, Big Bear's almost $10 a stock. It probably will be here sooner than later. Just off FOMO, just off hype. That's okay. Great. Good. But it's this next quarterly that I'm very concerned about. But, I think this is what we're going to see. I'm hoping that Big Bear can get more deals here. But this is good. This is great. I love to see Big Bear surviving. And that's what's happening right now. Big Bear is surviving, all of this. Listen, I have a YouTube channel and I talk about Big Bear publicly. So when I was talking about Big Bear publicly, after that second quarterly came out, I mean, people were livid. They were livid. They're like, I can't believe this didn't make quarterlies. I thought we were going to make quarterlies. Why is this stock going down? Yo. It's like, I tried to tell you. Don't ever feel bad about, taking some profit. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. This is why I was screaming at people at the beginning of the week. Take some profit with Rich Tech, for God's sakes. Some of you did, some of you didn't. It's okay. I think a lot of this is going to tick back up here. I think that's what we're watching. Even with the market closing today, obviously the market started pretty good today, and then we've had massive sell-off towards the end of the day. Big Bear's still holding this high $7 position, which is good, crazy. And Rich Tech's trying to hold the $6 position, which this is kind of where I figured we were going, to a very high 5 to a low 6. But Big Bear, staying on the conversation of Big Bear here, this is fantastic. As long as Big Bear can keep enthusiasm, momentum, and hey, maybe we'll see another deal take place here. Big Bear's going to stay around this high 6, 7, $8 range. And from what it looks like, if it can keep the momentum going here, 9 and 10 is very looking like it's in the telescope here. Like, we're going to get it here soon. So yeah, I think this is just a great week with Big Bear. This has been one of the best big weeks. This has been one of the best weeks for Big Bear, honest to God. And just congratulations to everybody that, did well in it. I mean, it's such a comeback story. Again, this is like the third comeback of this stock. And I don't think, I don't look at Big Bear and go like, oh, the well's going to dry up here soon. I still think the well is filling up here. That's where we're at right now. It's slowly filling up here, and people are either going to sit here and be patient with it, or they're just going to be like, this is taking too long. I can't deal with this. It's too emotional. And I get that. That's fine. It's still a dangerous situation because they're not producing enough with quarterlies, and that scares Wall Street. That scares big investors. That's totally understandable. But they're getting deals. They're doing what do you look for when you're investing in a company? You're looking for them. Are they making money? Are they getting deals? Are they advancing their company? Where are they reallocating money? These are things that you're looking at. So Big Bear's, I mean, it's on the right track. I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of like the conversation with Palantir. People are like, Palantir is way too expensive, but they're still getting insane deals, partnerships. I mean, they're coming out with insane quarterlies. So yeah, I think Big Bear is showing you what it's going to do here soon. I think that's what we're seeing. I think Big Bear is like, hey, I'm about to do something here, and that's what's very interesting with it. All right, to talk about Rich Tech. So, I mean, obviously, Rich Tech ended this week, and this is kind of where I figured we were going. This is, like I said, why I was screaming for people like, hey, take some profit. Rich Tech had a tremendous week. And the week before, we were dealing with the last run we had on Rich Tech before this one. Rich Tech essentially has had three little, in a short burst here, runs. So, the first one in September, we had Rich Tech run to, from $1, $2, $3, mid $3 range. Okay. Then we had some sell-off. Okay. Now, Rich Tech is talking about, getting, that, and that's that dip right there. And then Rich Tech gets into this place where, there's a lot more talk about robotics. It's getting, popular on, TikTok, chat rooms, NVIDIA, all that stuff going on with it. Okay, now we start to get back into this high $3, mid $4 range. Okay, things are cooking. Now we're talking about 1, 2, 3, those walk-ups right there. It's obvious something is pushing here. Then we get into the $4, $6 range. Now, we've dealt with $7 and trying to get to an $8 range here from what we saw. Just didn't quite make it. So right now, Rich Tech is sold back down. And honestly, I thought this was going to sell down more. I really thought it was going to sell down more. It's doing all it can right now to hold this $6 position, which is pretty aggressive for what in a short time here we're seeing. This is pretty aggressive that it's holding this. So if this can remain, which I think it will, that's the good news with Rich Tech. It's like talking about Big Bear and talking about Rich Tech. They're just like opposite things are happening here. They're both looking for a double-digit number, but Big Bear is close to releasing quarterlies, and we don't know if they're going to hit those quarterlies. I don't know. I'm hopeful, but I don't know. Rich Tech is not showing their next quarterlies until January. So Rich Tech doesn't have to report back to school to show its report card, if you will, until January. So it can just be a naughty boy out here, essentially, and just like, go from 5 to 7 to, $5.50 back to, go to an $8 to $9 range. It's highly manipulated right now, and that's okay because guess what? We're making money, we're taking profit, we're doing what we're doing here. That is how this is being played out. And plus, still, at the end of October, Rich Tech they will be at this big tech convention showing off, all this kind of stuff. So that will put more FOMO, more publicity out there. So who knows what's going to happen. I don't look at Rich Tech, I don't look at this and go like, it's done, it's over, get out of here. Look at that first initial pop back on September 22nd when Rich Tech, it wasn't the first, but it was like the first initial big one. Back on September 22nd when this thing went to $550. Okay, at that $550, Rich Tech sold off back to down like a $420 zone. That's essentially like, over $1 there. Then it had this monstrous climb, a week later to, over that $7 hump, which is where we were at this week. So I don't look at this and go like, we're done. I don't know what bad news could really siphon up here with Rich Tech. There's no like, besides maybe someone writing a negative article about it. But the thing is, it's a very popular stock right now. They just received 2 big deals here recently. That convention, like I said, is coming up here. And 2, we're going into the end of October here where we're releasing quarterlies. Probably more than likely, we're going to see this next rate cut. The market could just go, here we go, throw the confetti up in there again. We're here, we're going to run again. And everyone goes like, oh my God, this is impossible. The market can't do this. Well, this is just the way of the world right now, where things are going. I am very much, and I say this too because like I have friends that I talk to about, like I have friends that are like, the market is way too priced up. This is ridiculous. Do not buy these stocks. I know people that have sold out of the market with a lot of things because they're like, it's just too hot. I get that. I get that 100%. The market is too hot. I mean, there are stocks, Rich Tech, BigBear, perfect prime examples. I mean, you can take this conversation all the way to like Open Door AI, complete meme stock, but the expectation of that, but it has the word AI attached to it. So obviously AI stocks are just running hot right now. I mean, hot right now. I mean, you can make a cheeseburger AI and that it'll probably do well. It's just what's going on right now. And if you know how to play that and you're doing it right, you're going to do well. This is why I told people, take some apples off the table. Eat them, try them. You'll be happy in the long run. There's going to be these huge push-ups and there's going to be these take-backs. This is just what we're looking at right now. The market's been doing the same kind of thing here for a while now. It's pretty obvious how this is playing out. And if you can get into this transition of watching the market have these huge filtration moments of just pushing up with huge amounts of money being burst into the market, and then these huge pullbacks. I wouldn't say huge, we haven't seen any huge pullbacks, but these like a month ago, where we were at. This is kind of where things are going right now. So, friends, I will talk about these more, obviously, but I think this was a crazy week in the market. This was, I know a lot of you did well. And if you're sitting here and you're like, oh man, like I missed it, I don't know that I would look at this right now and go like, you've missed the ball. I somewhat think at least until the end of October, the beginning of November, where quarterlies will kind of wrap up. I think we're just getting maybe this party started here. This is kind of just showing what's about to happen. What do we know before any rally in the market? The market will always have a massive pullback. Wall Street will always sell. They will always sink the market before there's a huge push up. There will be a pullback. And that could be what we're seeing. I mean, honestly, we're not seeing a huge pullback. So it's really hard to judge that too, because there hasn't been like dramatic sell-offs in the market. It just hasn't. I mean, today the S&P sold off obviously from that 750 zone to back down to this poor 612 zone, the S&P 500. But we're still at all-time highs for a lot of things. I mean, just it's ridiculous. So if this is the worst we can see in the market, I think we're doing just fine. Friends, take care of yourself. I will talk to you soon. I'm excited to see what we get into here with the market coming up next week. It's gonna be wild. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.